Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a cute little terrarium with a snail and some mushrooms inside. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to showing you how to do it from start to finish tonight. I've got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat during live shows, so if you've got questions while I'm painting, you can ask those and I'll try to answer. Let's get started. Alrighty, so I've kind of pre-sketched a little bit, but I'll go over the drawing with you. We're going to be using a 9 by 12 inch canvas today. This is a Fredrix mixed media canvas board. I haven't done anything to it. It comes pre-gessoed and ready to go. I am going to spray it right now while I'm talking to you though, because that'll kind of open up the fibers, get them ready to accept the paint. Our brushes that we're going to use, I'm just got a kind of a variety of brushes and I think I need a flat as well. Let me grab one. So a couple of Filberts flat for some of the streaks and things here. Then you're going to need several round brushes. These are the Princeton 6100 series in the long handles. So I've got the 6 bright, 4 Filbert, 2/0 round and 2 round, and then I've got in the red handles the 1/4 inch 3/8 inch blender and a couple angle brushes, a 1/4 inch 3/8 inch angle, and then some more rounds and small brushes here. So just a variety, and then you're probably going to want like a small fan brush of some sort just to do some of these grasses down here possibly. So all right, I'm going to get going on here because we've got a lot to do in a short amount of time for a Tuesday. So let's go over our colors. I've got carbon black, burnt umber, quinacridone burnt orange, but if you don't have this color, you can use burnt sienna instead. Yellow oxide, Indian yellow hue, phthalo turquoise, but you could use a phthalo green here instead. Ultramarine blue, and this is unbleached titanium, titanium white, and zinc white. Zinc white is a transparent white. If you don't have it, use some glazing medium or some water to make your white more transparent, but this works better. And then I've got gloss glazing liquid. All right, let's get going here. So I'm going to start with, in fact, I'm going to get a little bit bigger brush. I'm going to grab the 6 Filbert here for the background. All right, so, but first I'm going to go ahead and sketch it out sort of with my small round brush. So this will help us, this is number 2 round. This will just help us kind of have a reference point. I did put out more fluid paints because the fluid ones just may make it a little bit easier for us to work fast. I'm not sure, but we'll see. That's the idea at least. Mark's hoping.
That's the theory.
The theory. Nope. Okay.
Mark's good. Mark's good.
Mark's good. All right. This is 9 by 12 this way. So portrait style. Our top is going to be right in here. And it's pretty squished. Like that opening is pretty small there. So you can either start there or you can do your jar and then do that. It doesn't really matter. The main thing is that this curve and this curve should be the same. And that's what's going to give it the right perspective. And then these curves, like if you did a curve here, then that should equal this curve here at the top. So I'm going to do the sides. I'm going to just kind of start at the neck and come down. It narrows just slightly as it comes down here. So we... I'm definitely going to have to turn this on its side when I do these. I can't get my hand in the right position with this. Maybe move my chair up a little. Hold on. There we go. No wonder I couldn't get a right angle there. I was like sitting like this. Yeah, it was a little scrunched up there. There we go. Oh, much better. All right, so there's our basic jar shape. Again, a little bit smaller here. Then we can use this curve here and just kind of mimic it up here for the opening of our jar. Right there, see? And then this curve here is going to be the same angle as this curve here. So if you kind of did an imaginary line here, you can kind of do the same kind of curve here. And then it's just going to kind of meet up here. Whoop, went a little outside there. Meet up there. What did I do there? Must have hit it with my hand when I was explaining. And then this little doohickey, which is the kind of the underside, under the lip of this jar here, is going to be right there. Oh, I'm getting it all over my sleeve and everything. My gosh. It's because I thinned it down so much.
Oh,
it's already thin, so it's not.
You got to be careful when you're painting in those doohickeys.
So, so there, and then you can see just a little bit of that. It's really the neck of this right here that we're seeing. This is the top of it, though, so you can put a little white there if you need to, but that's the top. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit of the brown just so I know which one's the top. There we go. So there's the top.
So now on this one here, are we putting this at like kind of a medium level of difficulty?
I think so.
Medium rare?
Medium
or medium
rare.
well?
Medium. We'll see as we go here. Okay, so then inside the jar, this wood piece is right up against the glass almost on the inside here, and it's going to come out and up and then angle down and then kind of disappear back here. And then we've got a dark kind of hill that is right about the halfway mark, just above it. So if you split your jar in half here from the opening to the bottom here, then this kind of little hillside is back here behind our mushrooms. And I'm just going to go ahead and get some black and fill this in dark. This whole area here. And then our snail's living right there. So let's go ahead and draw him in. Our snail's right in here. And he's just kind of curved up like that. And then our mushroom is right in here. I'm making a mess of this. This does not look like a sketch anymore. I'm trying to save time. So here's the one, and its stem comes out like this, kind of curves like it does, like a little S right there. And then this guy. And as I was drawing this, I realized this is the same mushroom, just kind of smaller. It's the magic of Photoshop here we're seeing. So narrows down here. And the stem goes up inside and disappears. And they both come down here. Okay, so this whole area down here below it is really dark. I'm going to go ahead and get some of that black and just fill in around this guy. So it's all really dark right here. And this log here, we can't even really tell where the log ends because it's so dark back here. Okay. Whoops, I kind of went over my snail a little bit. That's okay. All right, so this will help us. And then the inside of the jar has this dark base here. I'm being really messy, but that's okay. This part's all going to be resolved later. So we're just kind of trying to get in some color here. So we've got some color to play with. And this color comes almost down to where these mushrooms end right there. And then there's this one right here is right here on his stem. Okay. How's everybody doing tonight?
We are doing great.
Do you have anybody here watching?
There's like me and two other people.
You and two others, okay.
Yeah, we have somebody here from Indonesia.
Ooh.
And Bahamas.
What?
Australia.
Nice.
You know, the U.S., Canada.
Very cool.
all those places.
It's amazing.
All the unusual suspects.
Right. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us tonight.
Yeah. It's summertime. It's one video a week.
Right.
We miss you guys.
It's been weird having Saturdays off, I have to say, but I feel a little guilty, vaguely. I don't know why, because it's like I make the schedule, so I'm in charge of things, but I still kind of like, I don't know why I feel weird taking a Saturday off. It's just odd, but we're glad you're here.
Mm-hmm.
We're glad you're here. I'm already looking forward to the fall and kind of figuring out what we're going to do. We've got our August and our summer schedule set all the way through August now. So if you want to check that out, we've got it on my social media posts, and all the links are down in the description to check those out if you want. But all right, so there's our basic kind of start. It doesn't look like much yet, but we'll get there. And that'll give us a good base for the rest of everything as we fill it in. Okay, so the background, and I decided to go with a limited palette just to kind of play with our colors today, because I used this turquoise and Indian yellow hue in another painting for the Kaleidoscope thing. I've talked about it a couple of times, but I'm part of this Kaleidoscope project where there's 16 different artists. I'm one of the 16 that have kind of gotten together and are doing these videos based on color. And I used Quinacridone magenta, which I didn't use today, but I decided to go ahead and use the Quinacridone burnt orange as kind of an alternative. It's got a little bit slight pink tone to it, so it'll work. See how nice that does? It kind of makes it kind of a smoky blue green almost. I don't know. It's a really interesting color. So we've got those three are going to be kind of like our primary palette. Instead of a red, yellow, green, or red, yellow, blue, we're doing turquoise, orangey, yellow, and this kind of reddish orange. So I'm going to make a variety of different greens here with these colors. And just, play with the proportions. And you can use blue instead. So I can grab some Ultramarine Blue and maybe use the Yellow Oxide with that and make kind of more of a bluish green. But I'm just wanting to have several different greens. So I'm going to get a little bit more of my yellow and just a little bit of the turquoise and do a really bright, vivid green here. Pretty that is. And then I'm going to grab some more of the yellow and some white and just have kind of a lighter version. So we've got several different greens verging from teal all the way through to more of a bright green. And I'm just going to use these in my background here. And I've already gone over my vase. Yay. First hit. Just doom. Done. Smoked it. I can tell.
It's kind of like the first scratch in the new car.
Right. It's like boom. We are on it.
Got that out of the way. Don't have to worry about that anymore.
Exactly. Yeah, who needed
So the
that?
tension just left the room.
First 10 of the 10 minutes of the video. So when you're doing this kind of background like this, I think it's the key thing is just to kind of move quickly and not let the paint borders dry before you do your next color. So if I'm, wanting to blend these colors into one another, I've got to kind of work quickly. So I'm really loading up my brush fairly thick with paint. Whoop, I don't know why I've got that one. I'm going to get some of the lighter color here with some white. And dab that all in, and then I am going to use these colors in my vase too, so don't just use them back there. I'm getting some of this kind of smoky gray color. I want to use all of the same colors in here, but in the vase maybe just a touch more muted. So if I've got this dark brown back here, then I'll maybe add just a little bit of white to it when I add it inside. Just slight. It doesn't have to be super noticeable, and we can smoke it out with a little bit of our zinc white too if we need to later. So if you get it on here and it seems a little dark, that's fine. We can fix it later. All right, so let's go ahead and get a little bit of the white, and I'm going to get some unbleached titanium. I'm just going to kind of use that along this edge here. I'm really going to try to get it. Usually what I do when I'm painting is I kind of paint all of the dark areas first, and then I go in and I add more light, and then I go back in and add more dark, and then I go back in and, just go back and forth and back and forth. In this case, I'm going to try to get it in the right place at the first time around. So I'm going to try to skip a couple steps and get these colors sort of close to where I want them to be on the first go. It'll kind of reduce maybe the realism a little bit, but I think it'll be a cool effect. And I use these techniques when I do murals a lot because it goes a lot faster. And when you're doing a mural, you've got a whole wall to do. You can't get focused on, just like a tiny little area, getting it perfect. So you got to kind of move along a little bit quicker. So we're going to do this kind of mural style where I'm going to like blend in different colors, and like I did here with the vase, just kind of add my lighter colors sort of where I'm wanting them to end up and try to get them right on the first go, or at least close to. Let's go ahead and get some of this dark color here. The only thing that you have to watch for is that your colors can get a little bit muddy. So if you're, going back and forth between dark and lights on the same brush, you may have to maybe use two different brushes and be, switching back and forth a little bit so that you're not having to clean your brush out every time you pick up a new color. So just adding a little bit of that dark color back there and defining the edge of the vase here. I went over the side of it. So I'm just going to get a little bit more of that light color and just kind of pop that back out right there. And don't wait to do that, because otherwise I'll get 2 steps ahead and then be done, and forget where that was. So do it while I'm remembering where that's supposed to be. It's just for my own sake. I'm going to spray these because I've got a lot of colors going on here. I am noticing that I could have used a phthalo green maybe, or a yellow. If I used a brighter yellow, I might get a little bit better yellow greens, because I'm not getting them super vibrant yellow greens here just because of the color choices that I'm using. But I don't know. I think it's okay. We'll see as we go. We can always cheat and add a yellow here if we get done and decide we don't like the colors. Here's more Indian Yellow Hue and some of the I don't even know which one is on my brush anymore. It's kind of a olive green. So it's kind of muted enough. I'm going to go ahead and use it on the inside of my vase too.
This is known as the mark finish stage or ugly stage, whichever you prefer.
Yes.
So this would be Mark's finished painting, and Angela's going to make it extra.
Exactly.
I learned a new term.
Because I'm like that. You're. What did you say?
And you're going to make it so extra.
Right. A what term?
A new term.
A new term?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark heard that on
our
new
that way.
favorite shows. It's been for 12 seasons. I love how we catch these shows on the end of their runs. They've been out forever. Everybody knows about them, but we're like, hey, we heard about this new show. It's awesome. And we're like, yeah, it's from 2005. Yeah. We're watching that Married at First Sight and been very thoroughly entertained.
Yes, it's very, very brave people out there.
Very brave people, and it just makes you happy for your own marriage. If you are not happy in your marriage, you watch that show, you will be happy in your marriage. You will appreciate your spouse. That's all I have to say. You just be glad that it's not you. That's all. Just watch that show and go, wow, I'm glad it's not me. Having to start all over and no, thank you. I will put up with the snoring. I will put up with the, and I should say that in reverse because I'm the one that snores now. Mark snored for the first 20 years of our marriage. And
second
now
half is yours.
It's my turn. Apparently I'm snoring now. So don't know what happened there. He doesn't snore hardly at all anymore. And I do. It's not really something I'm proud about.
It doesn't bother me.
He's asleep before I go to bed. So he doesn't even notice until he wakes up. No, so
exactly.
Get some of that white there. See how it's coming together pretty good, and you're really not having to blend a whole lot, right? I mean, we're just kind of dabbing this colors on, and as long as we get our shape right and sort of pay attention to, this is the most important part, I would say here, and getting your outside form right. Everything else inside is just kind of a mismatch of colors and shapes. But I am kind of paying attention to where when I do kind of go up against one of these borders to maybe, use the shape of the glass or kind of just indicate it just a little bit. And we will go back in and I am going to add some more highlights in some places over here, especially there's some like longer highlights and things. And there's some leaves inside the grass too. Or inside the glass, not grass. Too. So I'm kind of trying to indicate those somewhat too. But it's kind of hard right now because we've got a lot going on and we don't have our finished, it's not finished yet. So I'm just kind of switching off here and just making sure that things like this leaf that's right here has got, let's do a little bit dark around the side of it so that it sticks up. So right now it's kind of basically the same shape, the same value. You can't really see that leaf there. So what I can do is get a little bit of the lighter color and do my leaf a little bit brighter. Now that I've got some of that darker color down, and it kind of skips over this that area. It just goes right up to the lip of the glass and then skips around it. So you don't have to put it all the way through, and you can't see it in this part at all. So leave it. I'm really liking this, actually, the burnt orange in my lip of my glass, because that actually does have that kind of color. It's picking up that bark of the branch down here, I think. So be sure you don't lose that little bit of reddish brown in there. All right, so let's do it. I'm going to do some up here since I have it on my brush. And then in this whole area here, you've just got different values of green. So let's go ahead and start with the kind of darker greens. And they kind of have this little zigzag quality. So I'm just going to kind of zigzag it in right there. See that? And then I'm going to get a lighter color. Doesn't really matter which. Honestly, the color is not as important as your value. So just make sure that you're changing up your value here. I'm going to go with kind of a lighter, brighter green and go in between and zigzag in my open space in between around that.
I got a question when you have a moment. The person said that that they mix colors, but then they can't seem to get the same colors mixed later on when they come back.
Right.
So should they stress about it or just go with it?
I would go with it. The thing that, if you're using the same colors, it'll be, it may be off just a slight tad, but it'll still go, right? So as long as you kind of keep track of the colors that you used to mix it, then it'll still work. It may not be exact. And if it's not exact, so say I want to go in here and I want to blend into this blue, I don't have any more of it left. So I'm going to just grab a color try to mix one or have a color that's similar to it. I can go up next to it and then just use it in a couple other places. And then that way, that color is not as important anymore. I have this new color that's next to it, and I've used it in a few places, and now it's kind of part of the scheme as well. Does that make sense? So you don't have to have it exact. You can just kind of get it close and then play with the other colors around it. Go over the top of it just a little bit, and then introduce your new color, whatever the new color is that you've mixed, into a few other places. So it's not like the only place that you are putting it, because that's what draws the attention and makes it obvious that it's like, oh, that doesn't belong there. Is if you have a new color and that's the only place it is. So if you just put it in a few other places around, then your eye will kind of just ignore it, and it doesn't it'll be like, okay, it was meant to be like that. So that's just kind of how it works with color mixing.
Yeah, my suggestion would be to record yourself doing it, and then you can go back and watch it later and see how you mixed it. I mean, it works for us. So that could be a way to do it.
I don't think that.
You just need like 3 cameras and a recording software and
your husband to help distract you in the background while you're trying
to make serious points. Right.
No. Yeah. All right, so adding that. But I really like this kind of style. If you don't like it, you can kind of blend out your leaves a little bit more, but I'm liking this kind of more abstracted style, so I think we're just going to have to go with this because of the time constraints today. And we did that on the last week's video too, and I really like it. I think that these Tuesday night ones during, where I want to do these kind of more complicated, more detailed type paintings, but, it's a Tuesday night. People who have work. It's not something that, we want to spend 3 hours on. So we're just going to kind of simplify it. And this is good for some people really like this style. So it'll give us, kind of a new thing to do this summer. I'm still doing my more detailed paintings, but I'm doing those in my for my patrons. So those are right now, at least in the summertime. So we're working on this leopard guy, and we've got kind of part of his coat done. We were gonna glaze it a little bit. We got most of his face done. We got the background all done. So he's our $10 level. I would wait though if you're wanting to join us till the 1st of January, or July. I'm sorry, not January. 1st of July. Because we'll start a new month, and then you'll get the full month. So it charges you on the day you sign up. So, and then they'll charge you again on the 1st of the month. So, all right, I'm going to keep on going here. So and then I have the traceable for this as well for the $2 level. So, and then we did a $5 level bonus video a couple weeks ago. We do one of those a month, but we have several years. I've been doing the Patreon since 2017. So you do the math on that, I guess, for almost 5 years now.
4.5 years.
4.5 years. And, so we've got several years worth of library in there for all kinds of different videos that are much more time consuming and difficult, more advanced, I should say, not necessarily difficult, but just longer and bigger, more steps to them. So, on there. All right. So adding the turquoise and the burnt orange here to get that kind of smoky, reddish, purple, almost purple color. Yeah, there we go. Look how pretty that is. I might not need the ultramarine blue. I grabbed it just in case I needed a blue, but this is doing pretty good although I don't know. We'll see. I kind of want a smoky grass color. Like I found a color where the grass was a little bit blue, and I think I'm going to add that instead of just the greens, just to add a different tone in here, just for something different. So I do want to make sure that I'm using this ultramarine blue in my greens too, and maybe add some of this smoky blue here up in our upper areas, so that I've got some of it too. So when I go to do the grass down below, this is not going to be the only place that color is at. Then I have some of this bluish green in other places. as well. Okay, adding some white, and I'm gonna dab in some white areas just to add value changes. So we want different colors. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of yellow to this greenish. It's not green enough. Add a little bit of that. There we go. These are all in blurry background, so we're not wanting to see any details in any of this.
Yo, boca.
Yeah, it's all. And let's get some white and some of that. Burnt orange. Look how pretty my color is. And I'm just going to use it a couple places here. Just adding little bits of light through the trees or whatever greenery this is back here. Okay, there we go. It's about as fancy as I'm going to get with it. Okay, so let's go and use this color in our base. I probably need a little bit smaller brush here, but I'm going to use this brush for as long as I can until I kind of can't no more. So it'll give us, oh, let's look, yeah, look how pretty that color is with the burnt orange and the yellow hue. I still had green in my brush, so it's kind of turning it dark, but it's okay. Very good. And we had that same color in our vase right here. So make sure that whatever you're using in your background, it's also, you know, in the vase around it. So, and again, maybe a little bit lighter, slightly lighter. We're going to go back over this whole area with a little bit of the light. We still haven't done this area with the light color, but we're doing good so far. So far, so good.
I do like that look.
No?
Said I do like that look.
I do too. I like
really
the more
cool.
kind of painterly, looser style.
Van Gogh-y,
Yeah.
woody, whatever.
Right.
Is that the right guy?
Yeah. Yeah, Van Gogh. Mm-hmm. Or just, you know, more painterly, just kind of loose impressionist style. He was technically I think he was a impressionist or expressionist. I can't remember. I knew this at one time. I went to college, but I don't remember. It's been a while. He wasn't technically in with the Monet crowd. He came just a little after, I believe. If I'm not mistaken. Don't leave me mean comments if I got that wrong. Look it up for yourself. Thankfully, Google makes it easy. All right, so doing that orangey color down here, just going to kind of make this sort of earth tone. It's kind of like a pretty beautiful, like golden toned tablecloth or something that's sitting on. So I'm not going to do it the exact same, but something similar, just kind of a nod to it. And I still have this green in here, so it's kind of turning it that green gold and letting that green kind of come out of my brush. Like down here, really pretty.
Have you ever heard of a glass-winged butterfly?
I have. Yeah, they're beautiful.
Okay, Beth, how many points does she get for knowing that?
I saw a thing about it, about how they were trying, like studying the glass-winged butterfly, and not just them, but like jellyfish and different animals, creatures, to see how they made themselves clear, you know, like the chemical process for it. I thought it was kind of interesting. Of course I see something like that, I'm like, that's cool, and move on. But there's other people that are like smarter than me that are like, how is that possible?
Exactly.
And they like take the time to actually study it, which is pretty cool. For those of us who just like to read about it, and their years of study in like a 5-minute section.
And then there's those of us who don't like to read about it. We just like to hear about it or see it. And move on.
Exactly.
reading takes too much time.
Yeah. Check. All right, so just kind of adding some of that darker green back there. In the picture, it actually doesn't have much of a obvious separation between that background and foreground. And so I'm going to blur out this line too that way. So you just, whenever you want to blur something out, you just kind of add a little bit of both colors and just kind of go and smudge over the line. And it'll just kind of smoke that out so that it's not like, okay, there's a super hard line here and there's no other hard lines anywhere else in my whole painting. You know, we want it cohesive. So I'm going to get some of this dark teal here and black, a little bit of black, but not much. I got a little on my vase again. I can't seem to stop painting over the top of the vase. I probably could tape it. I guess that would be one way to keep me from doing it. So if that's been a problem for you too, you could tape it. You could tape your vase off and the inside and make a mask of some sort.
Now I know what your coloring books look like when you were like 4.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I did not. I was not a super careful colorer.
No lines.
No, I would get mad at myself, but I would just get too impatient. I wanted to see it done, and so I would just, which you would never know now because I'm so meticulous with my painting, but most of the time. But yeah, my coloring. I never did color very, very carefully. That's why I don't do watercolor. I don't have the patience for it. I just want to get the paint down. I don't have the time to outline everything and make it really pretty. All right. I'm getting a little bit of blue and that teal together. Look how pretty that color is. Oh my gosh, so pretty. My white, I'm going to use that at the bottom here. And this bottom area here has got that kind of teal. And the reason this color works, because we have the rest of those colors in the other part of my painting. So you don't have to, like, you wouldn't want to pull out a turquoise or teal color that's pre-mixed that you haven't used anywhere else. Just use what you've got already used. And so if you're using different colors than me, just use some, version of blue or green that works, that's kind of a lighter value. Again, doesn't have to be exactly the same as what I'm using. It'll work just the same. All right, but you just don't want to introduce a new color here. All right. And getting some of my lighter color. So again, for the 12th time, fix this edge here. It's actually not a bad thing to have to go over this multiple times because I'd have to do it anyways. So it's not hurting anything to be adding this. And I want to go and like outline everything right now, and add my highlights, but that needs to be the last thing we do because the last thing you do. Sorry, I don't know if it's the last thing we do. I'm in a weird mood today. Yeah, so we'll do that later. I want to do it now, but I'm not going to. Okay, so there we go. And that's probably a little too blue. We can tone it down when we're going to add streaks of dark into that too. So, and then one last thing I want to do is just grab some of this green, some of this darker green, where most of this is dried up, and just use it to fill in the rest of my base, and we'll have this all filled in.
Which brush are you using right now?
This is the 4 Filbert.
Quattro Filbert.
Yes. And just make sure that this is nice and dark. So burnt umber and teal, turquoise, whatever, just dark. I like to use the green, since it's on the green part. This is the green. Okay, so there we go. And we're done. No, we're not done. Not quite. We're getting there. We're doing pretty good on time. All right, so I'm going to grab now a blender. This is the 3/8 inch blender, and I'm going to scrape off all of this paint so I have room to work. Look at all those pretty greens we made. And again, it does not matter what kind of greens you use, just as long as you mix them with the same colors. So use any blue, any greens, any yellows, and just mix them together. Use them in multiple places. Mix darker versions, mix lighter versions, and make sure that you've got some dark lights, and then your inside of your base just a little bit lighter. That's all you need to do. Okay, close enough. Okay. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All right, so 3/8 inch, you could use a smaller one if you need to, but I think this one will work. So I'm gonna make up a color that's similar to our burnt sienna. I'm gonna look how pretty that color is there. I'm gonna get a little bit of burnt umber, mix that with it. I'm gonna get my burnt orange and phthalo turquoise. And whoops, I meant to get this one, not that one. And mix up this is really a nice chromatic black, and I'm definitely going to remember this for later because look how nice that color is. Super dark, super pretty. And then I can add white to any of these colors to see. Look how nice that color is. It's got just a slight hint of green in it. If we wanted to add more brown, we could add a little bit of that and get kind of look at how unusual that color, that gray is. It's just really cool. Okay, then I've also got my Ultramarine Blue, my standby combo. Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber, which I absolutely love to make grays out of. So that'll be a nice gray. And this, just like I did with the greens, I'm just going to use these interchangeably, just different versions of browns. If you don't want to mix them, you could use whatever browns you have, but using the colors that we've already used in our greens ensures that they are harmonious. So just a good way of doing it. So let's add the yellow with the burnt umber. So this is that same with a little bit of the orange, burnt orange. And I decided not to do burnt sienna. I usually do burnt sienna, but it's really kind of these two colors together. And I think this is even prettier than the burnt sienna. It's not, it's a little bit more saturated, like a little brighter. So there we go. Just gonna start using this on our wood piece here. I'm just going to add multiple colors of grays. I'm going to have to spray these because I've got my air blowing on them. They're going to dry out.
We got a question.
Okay.
Somebody wants to know, what do you mean by values?
Values are dark and light. So here's a value scale. So you've got white as your value 10, highlight, high number, highlight, and then value 1 is your deep black, and then everything in between. So values have nothing to do with color. All they are is dark and light. But some colors are lighter in value than others, just naturally. So your yellows are going to be in the lighter values, and then your dark, turquoise and dark blues are going to be, and browns are going to be in your darker values. And so by using those colors, So if I want a lighter green, a lighter value color, then I would use white or yellow or a lighter value color in that mixture. And then if I want a darker value color, I use brown or black or a dark blue, a dark purple, a dark green of some sort to make that color darker in value. Black is an easy way of adding, but you don't have to even have black to get a color that's super dark, like you can see here. I really could have left it out of my list, but I haven't used this turquoise and the burnt orange together yet, so I wanted to make sure that I could get a dark color, and dang, it is dark. So it's real dark. I could have done away with my black altogether with no problem. But yeah, that's what values mean. So values are, I find, more important a lot of times than your actual colors. Your colors fall into different, values depending on what you mix with them. But I could use any number of colors. I could do this with hot pink and, lime green if I wanted to, as long as I had like a really dark pink or really dark green in my dark areas and a real, it would still work because you're following the values that you're seeing. You're following the darks and lights and making sure that those are in the right place, and then everything else is going to look right just because you did those correct. You got those right. That's how, like Andy Warhol with his Marilyn Monroe or different prints that he had that he's super famous for. That's why he played with the colors, and, he would just change up the, colors, but they still looked good because he kind of paid attention to the values. And sometimes he didn't, sometimes he played with them and, flipped them, where like the dark values in the light spot and the light values in the dark spot. But still, he kind of, him and other artists, just there's all kinds of ways to play with art and kind of make it your own. So that's why I'm saying don't worry too much about the color necessarily. You can use whatever colors you've got, as long as they mix well together. I would make sure that you're paying attention to whether those colors are actually harmonious together, because some colors will kind of not blend well together. So you can kind of play with that and see. And oftentimes that has to do with if they're opposite on the color wheel or something like that, So if you're, wanting to do a yellow and a purple or something together, then, those are opposite on the color wheel. You're going to need to be careful not to mix those two together in the wrong ways, or you're going to end up with kind of a muddy colors. All right, so I'm using these light greens here just to kind of add some leaves over here, and just in our background here, we've got some stems and things, and just kind of making random with the green and Indian yellow hue mostly, and then a little bit of white. So these are kind of, this side of that leaf is kind of darker. There's some leaves in here that are kind of dark. Just trying to get these colors that are behind it, behind this log in here before I go too much farther, because I want to be sure that I've got everything underneath. I don't want to have to go through here and go around anything later. So I'm going to add a stem here through this little light plant here, like a leaf of some sort. See that? So keeping them kind of close in value to what's in the background here, so we're not, or inside the vase here, so we're not doing too dark or too light here yet. Keeping them kind of medium, in the medium range, medium light range. just in these leaves here that I'm just doing right now. Okay, so, but I have a dark, medium, and light version. I don't have just one value here, and that's what gives it depth. So pay attention to that. All right, so I'm gonna start tapping now. I've got this nice dark color under here. So now all I'll have to do is tap a little bit of this green over the top, and it suddenly got little grass, right? It's pretty cool how that works. I don't have to do a whole lot. I want to make sure that I'm keeping these moist because I don't want to lose those. I took all that time to blend them. I'm going to get a little bit of brown, just add a little bit of the brown in here. And I'm trying to stay inside my vase, but go right up to that edge because we'll go back over that in a little bit, so it doesn't have to be the end right now. I'm going to get a little bit of this kind of yellowish brown here and add it. Okay. Did you see what I did there?
I did.
I kind of tapped it all in a line and it kind of made a little pattern. So just kind of try to keep it random. The way to do that is to, thanks honey. Getting some more of a yellow color here. I'm going to wipe this off and actually was planning on doing a little bit of that mossy gray. So I'm getting a little bit of that ultramarine blue here. And so to avoid the repeat patterns is just to kind of move up and back when I'm tapping. So I do it so fast that you can't really see what I'm doing, but I'm tapping up, back, side to side, almost like doing the sign of the cross here. You know, we're just kind of tapping up and back and then filling in the middle and making sure that I'm constantly moving up and back. And I'm not going over and over again in the same areas. It looks like I'm doing that, but I'm not. I am going, every time I tap, I'm moving my brush just a little bit. And that way I'm not going to get like a really weird repeat pattern anywhere. All right. And using this little like slight difference in color too will kind of help give you different planes. So you've got this bright green over here, got a little bit different green over here, kind of a slightly different green going up the inside there, maybe a little bit more yellowish, kind of behind our mushroom and up to our log, and then our mushroom in our little guy there. And then when you've got two colors meeting, just kind of overlap them a little bit. So just bring this color down into this other color a little bit, and then I'll just do the same and bring that color up. And then right here where you're going into that dark area, be sure that you have a really dark green in that area. So just get a little bit of your darker green and just go, just gradually kind of tap from your light color into that dark area. So you don't have this light color just butting right up against the dark area and stopping. It'll make that transition a little bit more natural looking. I'm just making sure that I've got like a little bit of that dark color in there, but look how pretty that is. I'm not really doing a whole lot here, but tapping, and it's not that difficult really. I don't think. I think this is definitely, pretty accessible. I'm going to get some brown and just kind of scrape in a little bit of a lighter tone brown, right? Just right along that soil line right there that we're seeing through the glass. Just a little bit right there. And then it just kind of blends up into my moss a little bit. Again, doesn't really matter which brown, just as long as we're kind of getting sort of a darkish medium brown here. And let's go ahead and use this in the bottom here and add our streaks to this area here since we're using this color. Just like we did that zigzag line up there. We're just kind of doing like little zigzags down here in the bottom of the glass. And then we'll go back over with the lighter color, but this will just kind of give us something to work with there. Okay. Pretty happy with that. And then, so I think I'm ready for my brown on top here, my log. Let's go ahead and get some of that unbleached titanium, which is a new color, but it's basically made up of the white and yellow oxide and a little bit of brown, so you can use it. It's already it's just a mixture that we've not used yet, but it's gonna go just fine. And I'm just barely touching here, but I have a fairly good amount of paint kind of globbed on there. I have greens in there still. I've got browns. It's just gonna get a little bit of that dark brown on the tip here. Scrape that over. And I'm gonna try to keep this kind of in the top half of this log here. And just kind of scrape it along that grain line. So it kind of goes down and around. And then in this area, there's like a little highlighted area right in the inside right here. I'm going to get a little bit of this orangey color. I'm seeing a little bit of an orange tone right there, and then a little bit on the very tip right there. Okay. Bit of that darker brown, burnt umber here. I'm going to get that black and go right up underneath this. It's really dark. And then make sure this area in between them are really dark. Okay, I'm going to wipe that off because I got a lot of colors going on. Pick up a little bit more of that lighter tone, a little bit of the browns. I've got a couple colors here to work with. And by having a couple of colors on here, I can kind of get a little bit more striations, like a little bit more of a natural looking. I don't have to go back twice here. I can kind of get it done in one shot. And then if you get an area like, I've got here where it's kind of like a little solid, I may go back in with another color and just kind of tap over, kind of try to break that up, a little bit darker color. There we go. All right. And there's some greens and stuff on here too, so I'm going to get a little bit of my mossy green. Tap a little bit of that in here. A little moss growing on my log there. And then coming up from here, let's get a little bit of the yellow moss and just kind of bring it up over the end of my log right there and add a little highlight just right in there. And I got the fan brush out thinking I could do this with the fan brush, so if you want to, you can do your grasses with the fan brush instead of this brush. It's just mainly what you want to do is just have a brush that's got a little bit of a stipple to it. It'll give you a little texture, so you've got this kind of mossy, grassy kind of thing going on.
It just depends on which brush you're more of a fan of.
Is that a fan brush joke?
It's a dad joke for
joke
sure.
Style.
Yeah. I'm bringing it hard this week.
I like it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. Before I go too far, though, I'm going to go ahead and get... Oh, shoot, this dried. No, dry. Ugh, dried on me. Oh, no. Amateur. I'm going to get a little bit more of this really dark. A little bit of glaze. It's just any of these colors that are really, really dark. burnt umber, a little bit of the there. So I want this dark to be about the same value as right in here, just right in this middle area right here. So I'm just getting my glaze, and you can use your finger if you want to rub out the edges here. I'm just going to kind of use the brush and just kind of scrub it out the side here. So put your brightest color, darkest color in the middle where you want it to be brightest, and then as you run out of paint on your brush, then you can kind of scrape it out towards the sides and add. There we go. All right. Good, good, good. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're killing it. We're killing it. Good deal. Okay. Famous last words. I said that last week, and then I went in a full 2 hours. No, we're doing okay. We can do it. We can do it. I'm gonna get some of the brownish, add a little bit glaze so it's a little lightened out, and just use it. I already had it, already had this color in here. I don't think I needed that. So I can use it in the background. Just wherever. I'm gonna get some of my lighter greens, and I'm gonna add some of these leaves that are back in here. Get some of that Indian yellow hue and white and green, maybe a little bit of ultramarine blue, and so that, yeah, there we go. Really pretty light green. Okay. It's really, really, really light green now. Just do a little bit right here where those mushrooms are, a little bit up here. A little bit right here. So just kind of a, and again, it kind of creates a pattern when you use this brush, so it's going to kind of do this sort of rounded shape because it's got that shape to it. So just kind of watch out for that. Make sure you overlap it enough to where it's not just like this half moon halo kind of thing sticking out by itself. All right, so there we go. There's that. Let's go ahead and put a little bit of this on my log up here. Just gonna tap it in. All right, I'm making sure that I don't see anything else that I need to do with this. Let's go ahead and get some white. And I think I'm going to get a little bit smaller brush because I've got some leaves that I want to do. So I'm going to get the angle brush for this, 3/8 inch angle. And pick up this light green. I'm going to go ahead and start with that, and then I'll add the darker variegations to it later. So I'm going to go ahead and set my brush down and just kind of plop it down here and go in here and add some leaves. Just using the edge of the brush here. This brush kind of does the work for you. Just making sure that I'm kind of pulling out with it. Always it'll create these nice shapes for me. It's basically the shape of the brush. I'm just kind of setting it down almost and letting it kind of just drag to create the shapes. Takes a little practice, so you know you can practice on paper. I do have a brushstroke worksheet that I did a video for, where you can do, you know, practice these brushstrokes that help create these leaves. It really can be helpful when you get into doing something like this, because you can go a lot faster and just do it pretty quickly without having to think too much about it if you practiced it quite a bit. So doing some of the darker colored leaves here. Dog's wanting in the studio. They're whining. I can hear you in there. Pretty sure you didn't mean to lock me out, so I'm just going to let you know I'm locked out. Right, so then just give everything kind of some little stems or things. But that's about all I'm going to do there. I'm probably a little bit light on these colors, so I'll probably add a little bit of a little bit darker colors, but they're really not that dark, honestly. They're inside the glass. I think it's kind of magnified or get, you know, the light's pretty bright in there, so these leaves are pretty lit up. Hi, Puppers. How are you? Fitzy got a haircut again yesterday, so he's all ready for the summer again. He was starting to get hot. He's a cavapoo, and his coat is super shaggy normally and super hot, super thick and super hot. And he looks really silly with the short haircut. But I'm getting used to it. All right, light blue, or I'm sorry, ultramarine blue and phthalo turquoise here. I'm gonna spray this all down here. So I'm gonna add those both together, and then I'm gonna use some of this with the yellow here, and just use this kind of as my darker version of it. I really want more of that turquoise than the blue, and then maybe a little bit of yellow added to it so that it's actually a green and not a blue. There we go. All right, so then these leaves in here are going to be this color. So just a little bit different. And I'm using the number 2 round now, just so that these are a little bit more rounded shapes, so I want a little bit more control over the leaves. And they kind of come up. So I'm going to do the dark colors first. And these are pretty pressed up against this glass. They're pretty, where the ends of them are, it's kind of hard to tell. Then I'm going to get the lighter color, and they have like that kind of yellow variegation on the edge of their leaves. So a little bit of the unbleached titanium, a little bit yellow oxide, a little bit of the white. I haven't cleaned out my brush, so it's kind of mixing with this, and I'm just going to use it to kind of doing the opposite of what I did the other leaf. Outline them a little bit with this. Really doesn't matter. Both ways work. And I'm not liking how blue this is turning out to be, so I'm gonna probably add a little bit more yellow to this. A little bit more of a green. Yeah, add some of that. I'm outlining, but I'm kind of stippling it as I'm doing so that I'm getting kind of just loose patterns. I'm not wanting to get too fussy with the actual leaves themselves. There's some smaller leaves down here. This one is actually, what am I doing here? This one's really big. It's all the way up to here. I'm making this plant way too small. Yeah, and I brought it up to down too far. Okay. Just wipe that off. Some of my burnt umber and cover that up. Okay. And there's actually streaks in this area, so I'm just going to kind of use that mistake to my advantage and kind of add some streaks right there. Go back in with my dark black. Streak some of that in. There we go. And I'm going to go ahead and, while I'm thinking about it, I see some streaks over down here of that lighter brown. Let me get that and just do streaks on both sides, just right up against that blue line there, the lighter brown. And then I'm going to use a little bit of this orangey brown, but the lighter version, and just kind of add a little bit of it through there. Kind of a slight rounded shape. Okay, let me fix the sleeves here that I mingled. There we go. I'm going to get some of that brown and bring that in right here. Okay. Okay, I need to keep going fast because I was kind of slowed down there.
Yeah. Let's go. I think we're in second place right now.
We're in second place?
Yeah.
Okay. When you get...
I'm not sure who we're racing, but I think we're in second.
We're fine.
I think we're okay on our splits, but we can make it up.
I don't even know what that means, but
This is
it a racing term?
Yeah, this is a qualifying for the Olympics, painting
I see.
Olympics. So you better. Let's go.
Got it. Got it. Check. God help me. I wouldn't want to. No way. There we go. A little bit. Very painterly. Get a little bit of this darker green. Add it to that green that we were using in this one here. Now I can add a little bit of that darker green here, just some places. Mostly you can see where like the leaf is getting some shade where it's being overlapped or something like that. You're gonna see a little bit darker area. And then like in this one here, I'm gonna put some of the dark right down in here. And then it's my white and yellow. A little bit of green. I want it pretty light. Do my little, yeah. When you get to this point, I've got so many layers of paint down here, it's just not adding anymore, so I gotta let it dry. So let's go ahead and work on our jar outline a little bit. I'm gonna get some of that titanium white here. I'm gonna add just a touch of blue. A little bit goes a long way. Okay, there we go. And then I'm going to carefully go through here, but I'm not doing like a solid line. I'm just gonna kind of let it catch the light where it wants to. Go ahead and go on the inside here. Some of that blue-green, just like down here, remember? Blue, turquoise, and blue. Ultramarine blue, do a little bit of the white. Coming around the corner with that. I just want it light enough that I can see it, so if I can't see it, I can get a little bit of a darker color and come up next to it. Maybe not that dark. I just wiped it off with my brush there as I picked it up. So there we go. And then, let's see, there we go. A little bit of the lighter green. I'm just going to go back over that. Gonna clean up that darker color there. But now I have that lighter, that darker scoop in there where I want it, and get a little bit of the lighter blue. And let's get the zinc white now. So I'm going to start adding little highlights with the zinc white. And the zinc white's transparent, so it's just going to make it a little bit more subtle. And then where I want it a little bit brighter, I can go back over that area and try that again. See that? And then a little bit of zinc white right in here. Right there. Lighter green. A little bit of yellow with it. Lighter green, yellow. I do wish I had a little bit of yellow in there. Just for some spots. There's just a couple spots where I kind of wish it was a little bit brighter yellow. It still works. The zigzags here and there. And I'm going to get that darker green and go back in with that. Because I kind of covered most of that up. Okay, so I need to look at my shape because I'm getting a little bit off here. Bring that up a little. There we go. There, okay. Now go back in with that dark. Not going quite high enough. There we go. Okay. What? Okay. Still flattened it out a little bit too much right there. So round it out. There we go. I'm just being kind of particular about this because I want to get it just right. Got to have the right shape. Okay. I think we're getting close there. Zigzag in the dark colors. Okay, pretty good. Let's go ahead and do the front of that. You can use a smaller brush if you need to too. This brush is probably a little big, but it's working okay. Get a little bit of that zinc white. Use it down here. A little bit of that light green. And just going back over with a little bit of the middle green. Just blending this area out right there. And it's going to use some of that color up in here too. Because I have like a dark color and I have a light color, but I didn't have that like middle green in here. Okay. There we go. A little bit more of the zinc white with this green in my brush. Bright white right there. There's some bright whites right in here. And right here. Coming down. Okay. All right. We're doing all right. zinc white. This area's got a little bit of blue in it, so you can add a little blue if you want. And then there's some over here too. It's just like scribbles. Following the edge of the glass, so following that shape of the glass, and it kind of comes to a point right here. And then there's some streaks that come down in lines this way. Like that. And then this line, this one has these lines that come up like this. And the zinc white, oops, I'm off camera. Let me go ahead and use this 6 bright here. I'm going to use this zinc white and just do this edge here. To use along its edge right here.
Somebody wants to know that if they don't have zinc white, what could they use?
Just use your titanium white and cut it with some water, just a little bit, or glazing medium, just so it's a little bit more transparent. That's all. Okay. And then this area here has got a big white streak through it, like that. And this transparent color is just going to make a really pretty translucent line for us right through those areas. And again, if you don't have this color, you can just use titanium white and some water or some light color. You just need it like thinned out. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to go ahead and curve it down there and curve it down here a little bit. All right, and then let's do our mushrooms. So. And this photograph did not have the mushrooms, so if you want to leave them out, you could just do the log and the moss and maybe add some more greenery here. But it was just the log, really, in the way. There wasn't anything there, so I added them to the photograph. So unbleached titanium, a little bit of the greenish color there. I just grabbed one of the pre-mixed greens, but just add a little bit to it so it's got a little tint of green. A little bit more of that green, maybe even a little bit of blue. With that, but it's all right. A little bit of white on top, and then I'm going to use the edge of the brush. See how it's got that? It's splitting a little bit. I'm just going to pull in to create that kind of fluttered edge that this mushroom has. Fluted edge. And then get some burnt umber. And I'm going to set it down and pull in this direction, out, down. And this paint is wet, so it's kind of mixing with it. I'm just going to kind of pull out and down. Just to darken up that inside of that. And there's a little bit of yellow on this side, so I'm going to get a little bit of yellow, Indian yellow hue in my white. I'm just going to pull up with that. Streak some lines through with the edge of my brush through that dark color. And this is about all we're going to do. I'm not going to do it real carefully like it is in the photograph. So if you want to, you can do each individual little line there, but I think this is going to be enough to get the idea of what, what we're going for. So here again, let's go ahead and do this guy in with our lighter color. And then I'm going to do the edge, just kind of.
Got a question
Fill in with this. Yep.
about painting in the mixed media journals.
Okay.
How do you keep the pages from curling?
They're going to curl a little bit. It's just normal. It's
also
anytime you're painting on water or on paper, but once it dries, it should uncurl just a little bit for you, so it shouldn't stay super curled.
okay.
If it does, you're probably using a little too much water, maybe.
Well, you do have to use more water, correct, than you do normally, right?
Yes. A little bit of white and just kind of running it through the dark. Okay, and I'm going to get a little bit, get this number 2 round here. A little bit of the unbleached the burnt orange here, burnt umber, and the unbleached titanium. So creating that kind of a almost reddish brown color. Okay. Use this on my snail. Just on his shell there. And we get that dark brown. And bring that one out a little bit more. There we go. And then get some of the unbleached titanium. Some white, a little bit of yellow, oxide, white. Okay. I'm going to start at the bottom here. I'm just going to lightly drag it over the top, and then as I get there, I'm just going to lift. So lift. So that'll be lighter on the bottom and darker on the top there. And then it does get a little darker at the very base. So I'm going to get a little bit of my yellow and green here and just kind of yellow and turquoise, I should say. Color in that bottom there and get some of the darker color and just bring it up over the base of that just to kind of hide where they go down in, and then we'll add some more grasses down there here in a minute. Okay. in there. I did want to add a little more variegation to these leaves of these plants over here. Define them a little bit better. I've already done the highlight over there, so I don't want to get too far close to it, but get a little bit. A little bit more color. A little bit of green, yellow, just very light green. Lots of white. Okay. Just right there, and then right here where they go up there. And then if you want to, you can kind of drag some little grass-like bits here and there just by kind of pulling upward. Okay, and there's a pine cone down here, but I'm going to leave him out of this just because I don't think we need to add anything else down here. But I do have tutorials on pine cones if you want to do it on yours. I'm just not going to do it on mine tonight. Getting close to the 2-hour mark. I'm gonna get it going. So this is burnt umber here. I'm just dry brushing. Just setting it on the tip of my filbert here and just pulling down, letting it kind of break up and shadow that area right under there real well. And going in the direction, so they're kind of like a spokes of a bicycle. They're kind of changing direction. They're all pointing up into the middle. So these ones out here are kind of coming out this way. These ones are curving out this way, and the ones in the middle are coming straight down. Okay, there we go. So I'm pretty happy with that-ish. I'm gonna get a little bit of the Indian yellow hue, a little bit of white. Got a few more streaks of that in here. Then let's use the tip of the brush with some of the Indian yellow hue, unbleached titanium, white, just kind of a light yellowy color. These snails are kind of translucent, so they got a lot of the light shining through them. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit smaller brush. I feel like this one's a little bit too big for this area. So I'm going to get a number 1 round, I think. Get some of that light yellow color. And I'm going to go on the, to get some unbleached, some yellow oxide here. I'm going to go on the snail shell. And I'm going to kind of dry brush to start with. It's actually right in here. Let's go ahead and get the dark color. There we go. Like that. There we go. And get some of that kind of darkish reddish brown just underneath there. Under the body a little bit. Little shadow. You get some of this orangey color here that was the burnt orange and the yellow oxide here for his body. Right there. And then a little bit just the yellow oxide on the face. Kind of squared off face. It's got a little tip coming out the bottom there. And then the two little eyes on the tips, which is super weird. Right? Isn't that where the eyes are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the very tip. Okay, and then I'm going to get a little bit of white. Just the very top of the snail shell here where it's catching the light. Just going to give it a little highlight right there. And a little bit in the body if you need it right in here. Okay, so let's do this guy down here. So I'm going to move his highlight because his highlight is on the top in the photograph, but it really shouldn't be because it's not, the light's not coming from the bottom. Just gonna move the highlight to the top of him. Squared off face. I think that's part of the shell right there. Somewhere in there. Getting that burnt umber, burnt orange color. Yellow. I'm going to get a little bit of white. I feel like he's kind of disappearing. A little bit of yellow on the face there, and coming into the body, and then just on the shell there's a line right here that I'm missing, so I need the line where that body comes in. So if you just kind of follow the body in right here, there's a line right there where that shell comes in, and there we go. Something like that. I don't think I'm getting the swirl quite right on here. Let me fix that so it comes around like this. And it goes so close to the top because the angle we're looking at. So it comes around and all of this is kind of overlapped super close in the top part of it. Okay, I think that's better. And then dark color right here. And this is just dark from this coming around like that. Yellow, oxide, a little bit of white. This one's fine. I just might go a little bit darker. Just right in here. Whoop. Get it to go dark. There we go. A little bit darker right there. I'm just fiddling with it here just to get it kind of where I want it to be. Whenever you get it to where you like it, just stop. I don't have to do all these layers that I'm doing. I'm just... The more... I find that, though, that the more layers that you do on something like this, the more kind of realistic it looks. Because if you do just kind of a couple layers and leave it, sometimes it just kind of looks a little flat. So... just on these guys, because they're kind of our focal point. This and the mushrooms. I'm going to add just little streaks to my mushrooms here and there. I got no white left. That's my zinc white that's down there. It would not help cover anything. Okay, there we go. And I thought about it might be fun to kind of have another one coming up here, like a smaller button mushroom or something like that, but I'm not gonna mess with it, but you could do that if you wanted to. Be kind of cool.
And they can dance also.
They can dance if they want to.
Yep.
Thanks for clearing that up.
I mean, they wrote a whole song about it, so it has to be true.
True. Okay, so shadow the spot where they're he's kind of attached to that mushroom there. I'm gonna make the mushroom a little bit more translucent in that area. And then bring him down just slightly. Oh my gosh. All my paints are all drying up. Can't get anything to stick. Come on. White and yellow here. Okay. I'm going to add a little bit of green to my yellow here.
We have a question.
Okay.
Person would like to know, with this type of painting, do we really need perspective?
I'm not sure what they mean by that. Perspective.
I was hoping you would, because I don't.
I'm not sure what. Maybe clarify.
Okay, please hold while we get clarification from the judges. You could use it in a sentence.
Yes, that would be helpful. Okay. So now that that's there, I just need to finish up my streaks and we're good to go. Get my zinc white here. I'm going to use the Filbert this time. I'm going to go right over the top of my thing and make sure that I can get a straight line. So just make sure I can get kind of straight down through it like that. And I'm going to use the edge of it. To do in my little side pieces here. Get my white and a little bit of the blue.
Okay, we have a clarification.
Okay.
They're speaking kind of like with a vanishing point. Kind of, is that important in a painting like this?
You still want to have your perspective right. Yeah, I mean, you still want to have, well, I mean, it depends on the kind of painting you're trying to do. If you want it like fully fantasy, then no, then go for it. Like, do what you want to do with it, go as crazy as you want. There's all kinds of paint, artists that, in museums that, just have wild, perspective. Like Picasso would mix his perspectives up and he would have multiple perspectives all in one. That's his, if you've seen his paintings of faces, he'd have, that's what they're all about. It would be these, you'd be looking at somebody from multiple angles, so I don't think there's any rules in art that you just have to do it a certain way. I'm just showing you the way I'm doing it. This is just one way of doing it, but you do you have an idea of something that you want to try. I would go for it. I don't think that there's any wrong way of, I may be, in the minority there. I'm sure there's a lot of art police out there that would differ from me, like the right way of doing art. I get a lot of comments from those people, but they don't like me. They don't like me because they want it to be done a certain way, and that's the only way, and that's the right way of doing it, and yeah. That's
well, of course it is.
That's not how
It's not how we art.
No, I mean, I feel like it should be fun, right? So do what makes you happy. It doesn't have to be, you express you. And, yeah.
So, yeah, like you said, depends on how super realistic you want to go with it.
Right.
Then, yes, your lines and your vanishing points and your light sources and how they're hitting everything is important for sure.
Right.
But if you're going for something that's more...
surrealistic.
Yes, that's the word.
Then no.
Right.
Then no. Then, yeah, just draw it and go.
We could put some tiny glasses on these snails.
Exactly.
We've been known to do stuff like that.
Exactly. You can do.
Let's do it. Or maybe just a monocle.
Oh, a monocle would be cute. That would be cute. Okay, so just finishing up here, and I'm noticing that the inside of my jar here just needs a little different value. So that's why I was mixing up this kind of, where is it? I just mixed up color and I can't find it. Where are you? Where are you?
What color?
Well, it's like a dark green. I'm just going to keep going like this and I'll find it. It's in here somewhere. No, I guess
by your hand?
Maybe.
No? Over, down, to the right.
There? No.
No.
None of it is all dry. It must have dried immediately. Somebody, I don't know. Okay, so.
Well, that was a fun game at least.
Yeah. Oh, I think it was right. Maybe right there. I'm not sure. Yeah. Warmer. Getting warmer. Okay. So just a darker color. It doesn't matter. Just need it a little bit darker. Right here. I'm just glazing. A little bit of dark color right there. A little bit right here. See that? Now that pushes that right there.
Cool.
It just makes it deep. That's deep.
How did that go again? Okay.
Right there. We just powed it down, pushed it down. Okay, so I'm just looking at my reference now and seeing if there's any of these areas where I need like a little, darker color up in here or something. Just have to be careful because I've already done a lot of these highlights, so I don't want to go over any of those in places where I don't want dark, but you can add like little streaks of this dark in and amongst your highlights. I got something all over the table here. No, I got it up. It came off. I got no yellow left. I was trying to get by with no yellow, but I can't. Okay. Yellow, got a little bit of the green, a little bit of white. Just gonna use it down here. And what I can do is kind of add a little highlights to my table. I'm just using streaks to kind of create highlights. That also creates depth. Let's use a little bit of this color since we got it on here in our jar, right in here. Because the table is going to reflect in our jar, table color. So let's make sure we've got a little bit of that color in our jar. Reflections right there. And I'm happy with this. I think it's turned out really cool. What time is it? Oh, we did it. 2 hours. High five. High five. Boom. Yes. He didn't think I could do it. I said, I think I can.
We said you did it.
I think I can. I did it.
Oh, I never said one way or the other.
It turned out good. I like it. So, and in fact, I probably like it more than I would have if I had gone like super careful with it and done it like super fussy. Like, I think I enjoyed it more this way. So I do enjoy painting this way. I don't do it that often, but I really like it. So you guys may be seeing more videos in this stuff in future. I think that's what I loved about doing murals too. I'm just going to go in here and tap in some streaks, just some little stripies. That's what I used to enjoy so much about murals, is just, how freeing it was. I could get in there with this huge brush and just like do these, wild brush strokes and fill in big areas with it, in a very short amount of time. A lot of fun. All right, since I've got this space down here, might as well, I'm just going to tap in just a little bit of like a brighter green just down here, since we didn't do our little pine cone. And you can use the glaze too. I actually like that green a lot, so I'm going to use it to glaze a little bit, a couple of places. Just kind of add a little color. Again, be careful of your highlights. But there we go. All right, I'm going to stop there. I think we got the movement, all that good stuff going on. Get a little small brush while you're talking and I'll sign it. Super chat. I every now and then I can't see what I'm doing. Okay, thank you. Every now and then I, just stop and like pinch myself a little. Which does have the coolest job ever. Super fun. You guys make it awesome for us.
Yes.
We appreciate you hanging out with us and watching and painting along and sharing sharing your paintings with me. I love seeing what you've done with these tutorials. So if you do paint it, I've got links down in the description and places you can share those with me. I'd love to see your version of it. And yeah, just add in like one more last layer of like bright white highlights here. And we're going to be heading out. Get Mark some dinner.
Well, Mark already snacked.
All right.
So
you're okay?
I'm okay.
Good.
We can get you some dinner.
Get me some dinner. Yeah.
But yeah.
All right. Well, I actually don't hate that. I didn't mean to do it that thick right there.
So, real quick, as you said earlier, with patreon.com/angelafineart,
Yeah.
bonus videos, extra stuff, traceables, all that stuff. But
Right.
we encourage people that wait to the first of the month to sign up.
Yes.
Right now, it's kind of late.
Pay twice in 2 days, so.
Right, because they charge by the calendar. So if you sign up today, you get charged, and then they'll charge you again on the first of the month.
Right.
So just a heads up on that.
That's how it works.
And also then down below this video is the links to the brush guys, Amazon, social medias, all that stuff. So if you need stuff, there's stuff down there.
Yes, if you're looking for the paints and materials and things that I'm using, there's links down in the description and list of all the stuff that I've
Etsy store.
used.
You can buy some
we've
paintings.
been selling paintings this year. It's so weird. I've had that Etsy store up for a while now, but of course I put in some of my more favorite paintings,
Yeah.
so I think that's why they're selling. No,
And then
I held on to them for a while.
Is your other store Spring? Is that what they call themselves?
Spring
now?
is the Teespring store, yes. It changed
T-shirts
its
and
name.
different things there
Yeah,
too.
we've got all kinds of different merch down there. And okay, I need to stop because I'm adding.
Put down the brush, ma'am.
I know. Okay, I'm done. I promise. Super fun. If you like this and want to see more, I have 2 more in this series that we could do, and I really want to do them. So please let me know if you want to see them, because I think it would be really fun to paint them. There are other terrariums, 2 other ones. Some have flowers in them and just different things. So I think it'd be a really fun series. So let me know if you'd like to see that. Let me know if you liked this video just in general. And we'll see you guys next time. We'll be back on next Tuesday.
The
with the Sunflower Starry
Yes,
Night.
I've been waiting for this
Yeah,
one.
that's a local photographer, so we're looking forward to painting that. And hope you guys enjoy it.
I'm not photoshopped, a real picture of the Milky Way with
yeah.
sunflowers taken here in Arkansas.
Yeah, really, really cool. Really cool. So, okay, I'm doing one last thing. I just noticed this leaf got
So we got a lot of yeses
There we
on
go.
the,
Yes?
let's do more like this.
Awesome. All right. Good deal. All right. Thanks, guys, so much. We'll see you next time. Bye. Have a good weekend.